Kia ora mai tātou, tēnā tātou katoa. Members, when we adjourned for the dinner break, the House was in committee on the Minimum Wage Contractor Remuneration Amendment Bill, and the call was to Dr. Parmjit Pama.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to summarise, before the dinner break, I was saying that this bill is very confusing. It's because of the way it is proposed, because it mixes the employee and contractor status. And I was also saying that this bill is not workable and is based on some wrong assumptions. And Mr. Chair, before the dinner break, I was asking some questions to the member in charge of this bill. I was asking that why the member assumed that a contractor should be working only for one client at a time. And in a situation where a contractor is working for multiple clients, who will decide the client that will be responsible for the minimum wage for that contractor? So it is unfair to put that responsibility on clients and contractor, Mr. Chair, and I would like to ask member in charge of this bill to answer this question. And I would also like to ask the member how this, Mr. Chair.
I call Dr. Parmjit Pama.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I was also asking how this confusing legislation is going to help contractors, especially regarding their holiday pay and ACC levies, because with holiday pay and ACC levies, it is not going to deliver what the member actually intends to deliver through this legislation. And third, Mr. Chair, I would also like to ask if member had an opportunity to do an evaluation on the work that contractors do in various industry sectors. We know that contractors work in various industry sectors like manufacturing, forestry, construction, cleaning, and so many other industries. And I would like to know from the member if he had the opportunity to do an evaluation on the value of work that contractors do and their earnings. Mr. Chair, the reality is that the current legislation is enough to address the issue that this bill intends to address. This bill will actually intervene in a way which will take away the choice that is available to people in the marketplace. It will take away the flexibility that is available in the marketplace, and it will also reduce the earning power of contractors, because contractors want to work efficiently to be able to earn more, and they want to have the flexibility available to them to be able to work in their own time. Mr. Chair, I know several families where just to balance their family and work life, a member works as an employee, but the other member takes up some contracting jobs because it gives them the flexibility to balance their family and work life. And that is the kind of flexibility that people really like when they become contractors. Mr. Chair, we need to see that we are moving forward with our workforce, not going backward. We are not restricting our workforce, but we are making it modern and we are making it flexible and practical too. Mr. Chair, if this legislation goes through, the focus will be on time. The focus will be on the number of hours in all contracts. So the whole focus will come on just one factor, and that is the time factor. There'll be no focus on productivity. There'll be no focus on flexibility. There'll be no focus on choice that is available to people currently, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, this legislation also does not take into consideration any cost overruns, and that is possible because it is possible that people are unable to estimate the number of hours they will take to finish a contract. So they will underestimate the number of hours they will take to finish that project, and there will be issues of cost overruns, and there will be possibility of number of people coming and claiming those kind of costs, complicating the whole situation. As I said before, Mr. Chair, that this legislation will actually harm contractors and will create uncertainty in the sector, and we don't want to see that. This legislation will also require self-employed people to pay themselves the minimum hourly rate. And examples which Sue Moroni gave before the dinner break, Mr. Chair, those self-employed people, truck drivers, courier drivers, they will be required to pay the minimum hourly rate to themselves under this legislation. Mr. Chair, that will limit their ability to earn more, because that means we are adding a more compliance cost onto them. There will be more administration cost, and for that some of these people, because I know these people, they like to work, Mr. Chair, on their business in a way that they are quite involved, the way they deliver their contracts. They will have to employ another person to deliver those kind of administrative jobs, and that means they will have to pay another person to do that kind of record keeping, and then their overall earning will be definitely affected. Mr. Chair, as this bill has progressed through the House, we have seen that a number of businesses and number of people have realized that there are a number of flaws in the way this bill is proposed, and it is not going to deliver what the intention is. And Mr. Chair, we all know that we should not underestimate what the business sector is saying, what contractors are saying. They are quite capable. They know what they are doing out there. So it's not a good idea to mix the employee and contractor status. Mr. Chair, we want to see that we have fair employment legislation, but on the other hand, we also want to have flexibility in our workforce while enforcing that fair employment legislation. And we are doing that, Mr. Chair, but...
Mr. Chairman. Oh, the Honourable David Parker.